Hey everyone, it's Esmond. Welcome to the channel and welcome to my revolutionary guide to EDH power levels. This is a very serious topic, a very big topic in the community, and just like many of you, I have seen all the other videos, I've read all the other articles, I've seen all the other power level charts, and I've come to the conclusion that we need something new, something different, something that's easier to use, and the aim for this is that it's going to be a starting point for everyone to just discuss their deck power levels, make it easy for people to compare it to something, to set a standardized benchmark, and to basically just encapsulate the entire Rule Zero discussion in a very simple manner. So 2 disclaimers before we begin. This guide is not something that, it's set in stone. I think it's going to be a constantly fluid guide that's going to change as the format changes over time. And secondly, for me personally, I enjoy each and every power level. I think all of them are fun as long as everyone's playing at a similar power level. Alright, so that's out of the way. Here's the guide. And what's important is that it is easy to understand and to roughly estimate where your deck fits into the scale. Honestly, I visualize this as something that you could, kind of print out as a template and just draw out your own deck statistics. So comment down below, is it easy to read? Is it easy to understand at a first glance? Or is it just complete, utter nonsense? Let me know. Either way, I'm now going to start breaking it down, going into the details, and hopefully make it more understandable. So like I said, this is about setting benchmarks, and we're going to start by setting 2 benchmarks. The reason for this is because it's a relative scale, as you can see from the title. This means that everyone needs to understand and accept the same benchmarks in order to determine their own deck's power levels. None of this works if everyone has a different idea of what power level 1, power level 3, power level 8 or 9 is, because without benchmarks, all of that is just meaningless. So let's start at power level 1. Power level 1 is going to be the power level of a typical Precon, and it is so important that we start here because we need to assume that everyone knows the power level of a typical Precon. This is the base, this is the benchmark, and this is the reason, in my opinion, why the 10-point scale cannot and doesn't work well. Because who knows what exactly is power level 1, 2 and 3 on a 10-point scale? Like, what's even the difference between those 3 power levels, right? So by using the Precon level as a benchmark, we can then use it to determine how powerful your decks are compared to a Precon. And yes, I know that not all Precons are equally powerful, but I think, and I'm pretty sure, that all Precons share similar characteristics. Even the strongest one, even the weakest one. You know that your ramp is going to be Soul Ring and Rampant Growth and Commander Sphere. You know that the mana base is going to be full of tap lands, full of basics. You know the board state is going to be huge with a ton of creatures, and the game for sure, almost certainly, will be decided by combat. And that's what defines a Precon. So this is going to be our start. Power level 1 is the Precon level, and let's go further by really defining this and saying that at least 90% of the cards can be found in Precons. Simply because I think that swapping out 10 or so cards from a Precon is not going to change the power level by a significant margin. So let's take this as our base. This is our first benchmark, and this is our average entry level deck as it is meant to be. That's why it's a Precon. It's very functional, definitely a playable deck. It simply does everything averagely well, except of course for the potential to combo off, because Precons simply don't have the potential to win via a combo. The main aim at this Precon level is to explore different themes and synergies in Commander, and we can see that there's a lot of room for decks to be both better or worse than Precons. So thank you Wizards for Precons. Now let's go to our final benchmark, and that is our maximum power level. This is power level 4. It is the highest power level on this scale, and this is where competitive, aka CEDH decks reside. Here, the main aim is to actually win games, to play as optimally as possible, and of course, to have fun while doing so. And yes, I also know that within CEDH, within this maximum tier, there you can break it down into another tier, like different tier lists of CEDH decks. But just like the Precons, I believe that even the strongest CEDH deck is going to share a lot of similarities to the weakest CEDH deck. You're going to have a fully optimized mana base, you're going to have all the untapped lands, the dual lands, fetch lands, whatever. You're definitely running all the best tutors in your colors. You're almost certainly winning via a very efficient combo, and the fact that you're building a deck to literally compete with other CEDH decks just puts it at this tier. So the defining characteristic at this level is that all the cards are literally chosen because they are the best at what they do in those colors or for that particular strategy. Flavor and theme is not a consideration, unless of course the theme somehow contributes to increasing the power level, because power level is all that matters here. That's why if we look at decks at this level, we're going to see a whole lot of the same cards in most of the decks that run those colors. Just take a look at this CEDH deck database, and no matter what color the deck is, whether it's a single color, mono white, or whether it's a 5 color deck, almost all of these decks will be running the best mana rocks. You have Mana Crypt, Mox Diamond, Chrome Mox, Lotus Petal, Jeweled Lotus, even Sol Ring, which is very powerful. And for each color, there is literally a list of staples that are played for those colors. In white, you have Esper Sentinel, Silence, Dragon's Magistrate, Enlightened Tutor. In blue, you have Force of Will, Force of Negation, Fierce Guardianship, Mystic Remora, Dispel. Black, you have all the tutors, Vampiric Tutor, Demonic Tutor, Imperial Steel, Opposition Agent, Demonic Consultation. Red, you have Red EB, Pyroblast, Dockside Extortionist, which is from a Precon. And green, you have all the 1 mana Dogs, Collector Oof, Worldly Tutor, Veil of Summer, Carpet of Flowers. There's just so much of good stuff that if you were to just build a 5 color deck at this maximum tier, that's almost 30 cards that you can just instantly throw in your deck, and a third of your deck is pretty much there. So that's what this tier is about, playing just the most efficient, the most powerful cards in the format. And decks at this level just tend to be defined by their win cons. For example, in my Zaxara deck, I usually describe it as, well, I'm just trying to get infinite mana with something like Freed from the Rail or Penance Aura and some kind of mana sink. So yeah, these are the decks that just go, push the power level all the way to the limit, and this is how we can visualize it. Everything is just pushed to the max except for flavor and theme, because that is not a consideration when building a deck at this tier. And it's important to not mix up flavor and theme with strategy or game plan, because those are two separate things. So those are our two benchmarks. We have the Precon level and we have the maximum level 4. So now let's quickly understand what all these metrics are that I've been showing you. And the first one is speed. Speed is very simple. Speed is about how optimized your mana base is and what's the average mana value of your ramp. Where does it fit in between a Precon and a CEDH maximum powered deck, because a Precon typically features many basics and many tap lands, and the ramp spells are all 2 and 3 mana value. You have things like Arcane Signet, Cultivate, Solemn Simulacrum. Of course, you have 1 Sol Ring, which is the most powerful ramp spell in a Precon. Whereas compared to a fully maximum tiered CEDH deck, the mana base is fully optimized. You have untapped lands everywhere, and they usually feature just all the best fast mana. In case you don't know what is fast mana and how to define the speed of your mana, here is a broadly categorized tier list of ramp spells. And you can see right at the top, the fastest mana are spells which essentially provide more mana than they cost. That's why Sol Ring is considered fast mana, and that's why it is very powerful. Other examples include, like I said, Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, Mox Diamond, Chrome Mox. You even have rituals like Dark Ritual, Pyretic Ritual, and Simian Spirit Guide effects. They count as fast mana. Then, lower down a bit, you also have Mana Dogs that cost 1 mana, Birds of Paradise, Lenoir Elves, Noble Hierarch, and such. They're also very fast, just not the fastest. So just compare your deck's mana base and ramp spells with a Precon. A Precon level has ramp spells like the Signets, like Commander Sphere, like Cultivate, Kodama's Reach, Sakura Tribe Elder. These are the average entry level kind of ramp spells, and they're still good, they're still very functional. So even if you happen to be running all the fastest mana available, that just pushes that metric all the way up to the maximum. It doesn't mean that your deck automatically becomes super powerful just because your deck is super fast. That's why we have so many different metrics to determine the overall strength of a deck. So the next metric is consistency, and consistency refers to what your deck is trying to do. It's game plan, this is the strategy. Maybe you're just trying to ramp into big creatures, maybe you're trying to reanimate and cheat out big game ending creatures, or create a massive board of tokens, or maybe you just want to assemble some kind of combo and win, kill everyone at the same time. That's also fine. If your deck is trying to do too many things, it affects the consistency, it's going to be less consistent. So for example, we can take a look at a recent Precon. I did a video on Galea, Kindler of Hope, and this Precon basically cares about two main things, auras and equipment, but it also has cards that care about sub-themes like +1 counters and tokens, and they're all in the same deck. And that's already 4 things that this deck wants to care about, which just makes it less consistent. On the other hand, if you compare it to a maximum CEDH powered deck, those are far more focused. Their game plan revolves around trying to find and resolve one of their win cons, one of their combo lines, while at the same time stopping their opponents from doing the same thing. So almost all the cards directly contribute to their game plan. Tutors are used as a way to find their win cons or find an answer. All the interaction is there to protect their win cons, protect their combo lines, or to stop the opponents from winning through their own combo lines. So everything's efficient, everything's part of the game plan. And tutors are used as a way, like I said, to just increase consistency by essentially giving you more copies of your key pieces or finding you an answer when you really need one. Therefore, the more tutors you play, the more consistent your deck will be. Let's move on to the next metric. It's efficiency, and efficiency is concerned with the balance between how much mana you're paying for your spells versus the effect that you're getting from that spell, and the effect that you want, of course. So if we think about how we tiered our ramp spells before, we can then take that concept and apply it to all your other spells. A Precon, for example, might feature Murder. It's a 3 mana, destroy target creature. Whereas a CEDH deck might be paying 0 to 1 mana for an exile target creature kind of effect, which typically is much better. And of course, Deadly Rollick is from a Precon. Recently Precons have featured some absolutely busted cards like Fierce Guardianship, Dockside Extortionist. So when considering the efficiency of your deck, you also have to know exactly how many cards you're playing that are Precon level efficient as compared to the number of CEDH level efficient cards in the deck. Just because a Precon has things like Soul Ring and Fierce Guardianship doesn't make it super efficient, because there are only 2 really busted cards in there. It's 2 out of 100. So the number of efficient spells is also taken into consideration when considering the efficiency of your deck. Next up, we're talking about combo potential, and this is really straightforward. How much of the deck is built around trying to win via combo, and we're talking about all kinds of combos here, from Oracle Consultation to something like Enter the Infinite plus Faith of the Devoted plus Scourge Familiar, and you're just trying to drain everyone out and discarding all the cards that you drew. Basically any combination of cards that result in some kind of infinite loop, or that simply lets you win the game on the spot. Finally, we have flavor and theme, and this is just about how much emphasis is placed on the flavor or the theme of the deck. Like I said earlier, don't confuse this with strategy or game plan. In a way, you can also think about this as how much of the deck is actually built around the commander or what the commander is all about. It's going to be how many spells in the deck actually care about the theme or the flavor of the deck. In a Precon, you typically find that maybe half or so of the cards care about the main theme. You have a bunch of cards that care about the sub-themes, and some of them that overlap. In a maximum powered deck, where the focus is purely on raw card power, there really is no theme or no flavor. If you were to pick a theme for powerful, maximum tiered decks, it would just be, well, my theme is that these are all the best cards in these colors. Yep. So those are our benchmarks and our metrics. And we've already covered level 1 and level 4. So now let's go to one level above the Precon level, which is, okay, we're going to level 2, and I'm going to call it the friendly power level. It's level 2, which means it is typically more powerful than a Precon level. And essentially the objective at this level is to enhance your deck building self-expression. The focus is not to win games, but to just have your deck do what it was built to do more consistently than a Precon. So, right away we can just stop thinking about the mana base entirely. It doesn't matter at this level. You can have a Precon style mana base all the way to a fully optimized, CEDH maximum powered mana base. It doesn't matter at this level because what's more important is the card choices for your spells. Are you choosing spells because they are powerful, because they are useful, or because they synergize with your deck, because they define what your deck is trying to do? Yes, some of these cards are going to overlap, those are the best ones, but the power of the card is not as important as the synergy. So let's go further again and define this level as at least 70% of cards are chosen for thematic reasons. The other 30% of your deck can be the powerful spells, your ramp, your counter spells, your removal, your board wipe, etc, etc. But 70% of the spells should be chosen because they're trying to define what your deck is trying to do. At this level, decks are usually more thematic or flavorful than precons, and they're also usually faster because of better lands and ramp available, and by increasing the synergy or by adding some tutors, they also become more consistent. The interaction is also more efficient simply due to the better card quality available. And I also think it's okay to play combo style decks or have a combo win as a backup win con. For example, my deck at this level would be a Lysa Life Matters deck, and I include the Sanguine Born Exquisite Blood combo as a flavorful life loss matters backup way to close out the game. But I know there's going to be someone out there who's going to say like, well, the theme of my deck is to win as fast as possible. Or the flavor of my deck is 5-color good stuff. Look, at least 70% of my spells are just good stuff. It's a good stuff deck. Well, that's when it's time to go up a power level, because here it means that there's some slight confusion between what is theme and flavor versus game plan and strategy. And if your theme is, oh, I'm trying to win as fast as possible, then that's a strategy. How do you win as fast as possible? It's not really a theme. And if you're talking about good stuff, then good stuff is not really a theme because you're thinking about the power level of the cards. So there's really no theme or flavor there. You're just thinking about how to win and how to play the best cards in order to win. And that's when we move on to level 3. Level 3, we're going to start again by naming this as powerful. This is the powerful level because decks here are just more concerned with playing powerful cards, doing powerful things, interacting powerfully. And here, only starting at level 3, do we start thinking about actually winning games. Only starting at this power level does winning actually become a priority. At the previous levels, winning is more like an afterthought, it's secondary. For those decks, winning is simply a means to end the game in order to start a new one. Here, at level 3, winning is important. Winning becomes an actual reason to include certain cards in the deck. You're basically looking at cards and choosing, is this one more powerful? Is this one more useful? And if they are, they go into the deck. If they happen to have some additional synergy in the deck with certain themes, then that's a bonus, but the power level is more important than the synergy. Previously in level 2, it was 70% of the cards are chosen for thematic reasons. Here at level 3, 70% of the spells chosen are purely for power level reasons. And now there is a reason why I chose this 70-30 split for levels 2 and 3. Firstly, at level 2, I think it's misleading if someone, describes their deck as a thematic deck. Say, for example, oh, I have a reanimator deck. I'm trying to reanimate things, but only like 10 or so cards really care about reanimation, then I think it's rather misleading and the rest of the deck is just good stuff that doesn't really synergize at all with reanimation. That's the reason why there is a 70-30 split, so majority of your cards should relate to the theme in some way in order to be considered thematic. Secondly, there is a very fine line between levels 2 and 3. My rule of thumb is, if you think your deck is anything above a 2, I don't care if you're trying to say, oh well, my deck is a 2.3, it's a 2.7, just round it up to 3, because anything more than a level 2 means that a big chunk of your deck is made up of powerful cards, and it's more considerate to just prepare the table for a higher power level rather than to just lower their expectations and you end up stomping over everyone. It's not fair to them, it's you're not going to feel as challenged, and overall the game and the mood at the table is just not going to be as fun. all of you are not going to have a good time. So that's level 1 to level 4. It basically ranges from a Precon level all the way to a CEDH maximum tier level, and as long as everyone at the table can understand these benchmarks, you should be able to clearly, decide what deck, what power level is appropriate for the table. But we are not done, because I have a deck. It's a 5C Kenrith the Returned King deck, a very powerful commander, and it's built all around the different alternate win cons. All the decks, all the cards that say, I win the game. Where does this fit in? Because literally 100% of the cards, even the lands, are built around the theme of winning via an alternate win condition. It's not a Precon, because most of the cards you're not going to find in Precons, but I'm also playing with really high powered cards like, Thassa's Oracle Consultation, but it's definitely not a CEDH tier deck. I mean, my mana base is full of tap lands basically. Well, okay, awesome. If you have a deck like this, then you have unlocked the hidden level. This is level Uwu. This level is for the cute decks, the ultimate theme decks, the 100% full-on flavor deck. And for those who don't know what Uwu is, there you go. At this level, decks are usually less powerful than a Precon, but I want to stress that, it's usually less powerful than a Precon. This level also serves as a catch-all. So while decks at this level may be the theme decks, the flavor decks, for example, it could be a deck where all the cards feature artwork by the same artist, or it's a deck that only plays with white bordered cards, or it's just a deck with 99 mountains and Ashling as the commander and you want to name it more like Volcano Link the Pilgrim. And it's a catch-all level because while it may be a 100% thematic deck, it could also feature some really powerful cards, really powerful synergies. So then it just becomes your own judgment as to how much more or less powerful those cards are compared to a Precon power level, compared to a CEDH power level. That's why we have these benchmarks. But essentially, decks at this power level are fully 100% focused on a flavor or theme. My Kenrith deck features some insanely powerful 2 and 3 card combos, but there is absolutely no way that it is more consistent, more efficient than even a Precon. The only thing, literally, it's better at is its flavor or theme. So that's power level Uwu. It's meant to just play all the cards that fit a theme or have a certain flavor. I'm just going to define it as at least 90% of the entire deck are chosen for flavor or thematic reasons. And if you like this power level, please share this video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and smash the like button. It helps me so much for the YouTube algorithm and get more people to see this video, because that's about it. To be honest, like I said at the start, I visualize this as something of a template where you can just use the benchmarks and kind of just draw in your own deck statistics. I think that's a pretty revolutionary way to kind of estimate deck power levels and ensure that everyone at the table has a good time, has their game expectations met. Comment down below how else can we as a community figure out a way to make sure that everyone has a great game of Commander, that everyone's game expectations are met. Also, go check out my gameplay videos. They are called Quintessential Commander. We make really high quality, entertaining and genuine EDH gameplay content. Thanks for watching. See you all next time. Bye.